What's up, Jimmy? How's the weather over in Florida, man?
It stinks. It goes back and forth, and stinks is the key word, Michael. Stinks.
Why? So you were saying about that, like what stinks about it?
Well, there's the gradual changes of season in New York,
Right.
which allowed us to, assimilate into the next season,
I like that word,
and and
assimilate.
and you get used to it, especially after half a century. And where I live, it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So you could be during a certain time of year here be freezing, and then the next week you could be looking at 70 degrees, and then it's back down to 40, and then it's up to it's weird, and I've had a hard time getting used to it.
How do
So
you deal with the warm weather though in Florida? Like, because it gets pretty soupy and hot, right?
yeah, like I said, you wind up stinking. You sweat a lot, you know.
Well, Jimmy, I want to introduce one of our new sponsors, Mando. Can you
Ah,
see that?
yeah,
Mando.
nice.
Mando gives you a whole bunch of product, right? Body washes. Let me see if I can swing that over there, right? We've got here a whole body deodorant, which is good, right? You're at work, you're sweating, I don't know if you have a propensity to smell, dude. I'm not trying to make fun of you. You
Who,
know what I
me? Not
mean?
me. How
Some
about you?
people, not really, dude, because I tell you, well, I will tell you this. We've discussed it before. I get very sticky and very caught up in things. And I
Yeah,
mean, when you spray this body spray on you,
yeah,
boy, oh boy, it makes a huge difference. Now, again, in New York, it's still cold, so I don't necessarily need it all the time. But I could imagine those hot summer Florida months is going to be. This will be
yeah.
your first or second time dealing with that.
Actually, technically, it would be my third.
Really?
Yeah, because I hit the summer 2 years ago. Don't forget, I was here in the summer of 2023. Then there's 2024. Here comes 2025. So I've experienced 3 summers here.
Well, then I bet you wish you had some Mando with you last year.
I need like a crate of Mando because I'm a fando of Mando.
Oh, I love it. Mando's starter pack is a perfect for all you new customers who are asking you to support Long Island's number one pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh, right? Use the
Easy, easy for you to say.
MATP code. That's
MATT.
MATQ, which is showing on right there on the screen. Use that. Support us. Show Mando they made the right choice in choosing one of the top pro wrestling podcasts or broadcast or television show that you could possibly have. And if you use that code, right, it equals 40% off, Jimmy. 40% off. If by my
Nice.
math, that's close
That's
to
pretty good.
half.
Yeah, I'll take
It's a
that.
little less than Conan's math, but
Yeah,
it's almost half. That's
yeah.
40% off when you use MATP as the code, which is on that screen. 40% off. Go to Mando. That's Shop Mando, ShopMando, and get your starter kit. Jimmy, how you can convince all your friends in Florida to order some Mando?
Well, first of all, I'll have to be upfront with them and tell them that they smell funny. And then I will highly recommend Mando because, you got to think before you stink.
With that, I got nothing else to say. Mando.
I'm a fan, though.
Person in the 1840s and 30s and 1850s was a slave, and they want to. What is giving a person today money for your ancestor being a slave? What is that gonna solve?
Nothing. Nothing.
Nothing.
And you're right. But you know what, Brian? Just think about it. Just go back to what we spoke about the Iron Claw movie. There's always got to be someone's fault. It's like it had to
Exactly.
be Fritz's fault that the boys took their lives. The boys are responsible for themselves, right?
Exactly. They're grown men. Yeah, that's the pathetic. That's what really bothered me. I was angry when I first saw it, and then I'd have to reel myself in and say, "All right, man, it's Hollywood. I
Uh,
know what Hollywood
I
does."
got to ask you a question. In the opening part of the movie, where they're sitting at the breakfast table, and he gives the boys his pecking order on which one he likes better, he says, what did he say? Kerry, you're on top, and then it's Kevin, then it's David and Mike. But that list can always change. Well, like, what was your reaction to that? I remember because my wife knew nothing about it. So when she heard that, she's like, "What a piece of shit." She says it in a movie theater. And I'm like, "Oof, I cannot believe that."
He never said that sitting at that table. Kevin and David knew that Kerry could get away with stuff that they couldn't. So if they did something wrong, they brought Kerry in the mix with them because they would get a lighter scolding.
Life
It
sentence.
wasn't literally. So they made Kerry the favorite. Fritz always loved Kerry because Kerry did so many things like Fritz. You know what I mean? He threw discus in high school and college like Fritz did, and just that superior body and the way he worked. Fritz loved that work ethic Kerry had, and but even when he was younger, he would let Kerry make it when he had to go off on David and Kevin. So
Kerry had a body that could equal Schwarzenegger. I mean, it was almost
he even
perfect.
looked like Schwarzenegger when he was 20.
Yeah.
I got a picture of them.
Let me ask you this: you growing up with him and getting into high school. I mean, look, I know you're married now, but how often were you guys hooking up with women on a regular basis?
It was every day, every time we went somewhere. It wasn't how big the house was and how much money it was going to make, it's how much stuff you got. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
So, I mean, literally, the success of the trip was how many times you got laid and not the money. So, because you're going to make the money. So it was But I'm married. I didn't meet my wife until I was 52 years old. She knows. She laughs about all that. She knows about my history.
Can I tell you how unfair it is, though, Brian? You get Kerry Von Erich and I get Jimmy Farrow. Look at that. See what happens here?
Yeah, I was the only one cleaning up. Sorry, Mike.
All right, listen, Brian, couple of questions. I want you just to see if you could either debunk it or substantiate it. The passing of David, was it what they claim it was, or what in your belief, or was it drugs?
David nearly did not go to Japan because he had his stomach was bothering him. So the stomach deal was legit. All the boys knew that his stomach was hurting, and he nearly didn't go. They basically left it up to him, and he didn't want to miss the money and the trip, basically. But he was feeling bad. His stomach was hurting. I was there. I know I was there the day before he left, packing his bags and stuff. And he's like, "Yeah, man, my stomach." So I know the what is it when you when they cut you open after you're dead? What's it called?
Autopsy.
Autopsy. The autopsy said that he died of enteritis. So I don't know if the toxicology was released, and I've always just I know there's stories of Brody grabbing stuff and flushing it and all that. I've never talked to Brody about that. I don't have the answer for it. I know what the autopsy said, and that's what I'll stick with.
All right. Dark Side of the Ring, even Kevin says it. When Chris Adams used to get mad, his eyes would glow red. Is that true?
Yeah, he was.
Really?
Chris was great when he was straight, but boy, when he's a typical limey from England, when they drink, a lot of them, they just can't hold their liquor at all. And he was that way. When he was liquored up, he was terrible. Well, he nearly got me killed over in Mexico. I don't know if y'all saw that, the Tale of the Territories, that deal where we did it. He nearly got me shot over there. I didn't know anything about him. I had just come back from Oregon, and we were in El Paso, and he said, "Hey, mate, you want to go across the border to Juarez?" I said, "Oh, yeah." We went over there, and we're in a bar. We're the only gringos in there, dude. I mean, literally. He's over there out cussing, talking about you effing Mexicans and all this shit, man. And I'm like, oh, my God. And then it went on, and these dudes were getting mad, and I see a dude reach for his gun over here. I was right by the back door, and I hauled ass out the back, and Chris got out of there. They're shooting. When I'm running through the parking lot, the dude's shooting his handgun, and it's hitting the cars around me. So, yeah, watch that. It's on that Tale of the Territories. I told the whole story.
Crazy.
And, the next morning he goes, "Oh, what happened over there, mate?" I said, "Oh, you nearly got me killed." Well, that night when he came back and came in the room, I hit him in the mouth and knocked him down. You know, "What'd you do that for?" I said, "Dude, you got me killed. If we got killed over there and they took us out in the desert, no one would ever, my family would never know what happened to me." I said, "Dude, are you nuts?" I didn't know anything about him at the time. So, but I learned real quick. I never went out with him again. So,
Yeah. So that's the last time you crossed the border with a British guy who can't hold his liquor.
oh
I
my
got you.
God. Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know.
Nice.
So now I know.
Oh, you knew.
Well, they say F around and find out.
Yeah.
Mess around and find out. Yeah, I did.
We had a gentleman write us on our webpage a long story about Gino Hernandez, a breakdown of what actually happened to Gino. And look, we don't know anything, right? We hear stories all the time. In your opinion, was Gino an overdose, or do you think there was some funny business and that went on with that situation? Was he dealing drugs and got caught in a ring?
I don't know if I know he had in his toxicology report, he had cocaine in his system, but this is all secondhand news too. I didn't know I never did party with Gino at his house, never, and never. He was usually heel and I was baby face, so we didn't travel together. But super nice guy, great guy. But the stories that the people that were in the group in that his clique said that he may have gotten in too deep with some people, and there was some women over there that might have hot shotted him, but I can't confirm or deny that because I wasn't there and I don't really know who knows the real story. If they're, you know what I mean? I don't know if anyone actually, if that's all speculation or not. So, because no one could ever find the girls that were over there. You know, they found him 3 days after he was already dead for 3 days. And one of the guys that went over there and found him, they opened the door and the smell hit him. And Gina was on the ground. He was already turned black.
Wow.
The only reason they knew it was him is because his hair was like this long, because they did the deal at the Cotton Bowl. They shaved their heads and stuff. So they knew. They said he was laying there face down with a glass of orange juice, like dumped out. Like he was getting up and going to the bathroom or something, you know. So, but to tell you the truth, I don't know the story. Mine would be pure speculation, like everybody else.
Well, did you ever hear of a guy named John Royal? He was a drug trafficker. All right. Well, we're gonna let that one go. I just thought it was interesting with all these stories. You never ended up getting, we don't know, right? And everybody tells you all these many stories, and you finally try to.
Well, everybody loves a juicy story, but unless you're there, I mean, or unless you're talking to somebody that was there, and even somebody that was there, a lot of times they'll doctor the story up. So who knows?